Hey all, here are OS Reviews. In our other video, we briefly checked out the Baseus PicoGo line of super compact charging accessories, but they've actually come out with one other product that I'll be taking a look at here today called the Nomos 5-in-1 Desktop Smart Charger. And honestly, I'm a little bit more excited for this one because, again, the PicoGo line are relatively simple and straightforward accessories. It's just a little bit more sleek and compact compared to the Nomos, which seems to be cramming more innovative features all in one. So if you are using this in the office at home, for example, it can supply juice to your laptop while having a Qi2 compatible fast charging wireless pad for compatible iPhones and other Android devices, in addition to having a display that tells you the charging speed, along with the built-in cables and even more Type-C and Type-A ports. It seems a bit more innovative and a beast of a charger. So it provides up to 140 watts maximum, powered by GaN or gallium nitride, so despite a pretty small size overall, as you can tell there, it can still juice up MacBooks and most Type-C laptops, including Windows and Chromebooks, without any problems. That being said, it's also a bit more of a premium accessory that goes a little north of 140 bucks. So perhaps when it's on sale, it can be a little bit more compelling if you want an ultra-modern, all-in-one charger, replacing a laptop charger, phone charger, wireless charging pad on your desk. So anyways, inside the packaging here, we have just a oversized quick start guide, and we'll take a closer look at this charging display in a moment, but I can show the power wattage being drawn on all of the individual ports. You can charge up to 5 devices simultaneously, also supporting Power Delivery 3.1 in addition to Qualcomm Quick Charge 3.0 protocols for other compatible smartphones. And further down below, you'll find access to the actual 5-in-1 charger we'll take a closer look at in a moment, as well as the power adapter, just using a standard AC plug, which is also relatively slim, and that is more or less it. So one thing that you don't actually get in the packaging, interestingly, would be the classic Baseus sticker pack, which is usually a Q extra, but it is what it is. And for a pretty powerful charger, it is a little more compact than I was expecting. Here it is next to kind of a 6.5-inch phone, just for reference. So it's integrating a Qi2 wireless charging pad here that supplies up to 15 watts, which is twice as fast as regular Qi 1.0, which averaged 7.5 watts previously, and Qi 2 also has built-in magnetic ring, so it's compatible with Magsafe and other magnetic stickers that you may have on the back of your phone. So you can pop it on here, use it as a kickstand when you are doing video conferencing, watching back videos, as well as for media consumption. It seems to hold the position here quite nicely using the built-in magnets. And the stand here has a couple of adjustable angles that you can tilt it at or fold it completely flat. Using a gradient mirror finish, it doesn't really become visible until it flicks onto life. It's a TFT LCD panel. And then on the bottom here, we have the retractable cable that can extend all the way up to 2.6 feet, and you can also lock it into a couple of different positions, or on the furthest one, pull all the way on it to retract everything back in. The tip here is also magnetic, so it just attaches more elegantly onto the base of the dock, as you can tell there, instead of dangling around. And this included cable, by the way, supplies up to 100 watts, so again, good enough for most phones as well as laptops, with 140 watts being the maximum output total across all the ports. So for instance, if you have a second Type-C device plugged in simultaneously, you can charge one at 100 watt, the other at 40 watts, or if you're only using these two Type-C ports, they can individually reach up to 140 watts if you're plugging only one cable in at a time. And the final USB Type-A port here is rated at 15 watts, similar to the Qi2 wireless charging pad. So just keep in mind, if you have 5 devices plugged in simultaneously, it will be getting split and may not be the fastest anymore, versus if you're plugging in 1 or 2 devices, you might get the fastest rate possible on most phones and laptops. So for example, using a MacBook Pro here, it'll be charged over 60% in less than half an hour, relatively quick. One thing that is worth mentioning though is if you are charging multiple devices simultaneously, it is smart in the sense that charging will stop automatically when one device reaches 100% and continue charging the other devices until they are full, so they are independently controlled and will prevent any overcharging and overheating during operation. Now the texture here on the Qi2 pad section also has a bit of a soft touch rubber finish, making it just a little bit more grippy. You can of course also set the phone down if it's lying flat like this as well. The base is otherwise built out of a polycarbonate plastic, although it looks like the hinge here doesn't actually further rotate left and right on a pivot axis, it's just up and down. And also one other thing to keep in mind is that the smart display is dedicated for the charging station. That is, there is no built-in Bluetooth or companion app that it connects to for checking out the charging status from afar or changing some of the properties, turning off certain ports like on power stations. Although some would argue an app is unnecessary for a charger, I just point it out because they have that support on some of their previous power banks with a built-in screen that we've reviewed. So curiously, that feature didn't make the cut on this particular unit. There's also a dedicated power switch for waking and putting the screen into sleep mode, and then just the AC plug here on the back, which is pretty standard, and some soft touch rubber feet at the very back to prevent the dock from sliding around on a table or surface. All of the charging rates, by the way, for the various ports, and all of the combinations as well are listed in here. Plugging it in, you can see the screen here wakes up, and I have to say the design here looks quite sleek and elegant. Keep in mind, though, that the screen isn't really touch sensitive, so you can't interact with it, and I guess it is a little bit of a fingerprint magnet because of the mirror treatment. You may have to wipe it down every so often. Now let's try charging some devices, beginning with the charging pad on top. So setting it down there, you can see charging will start. Trying one other device here, you can see that it will begin automatically, and again, seems to remain functional as the device is being held into place magnetically, acting as a kickstand. We can also move the angle further back, for instance, if we are trying to get at the ports on the very bottom, but it otherwise seems to be holding position here without too many issues. The hinge here is stiff enough to hold the phone into place, as you can tell, while the charging is in progress. Now, I would have liked to see maybe some LED illumination on some of the ports, though. That would have been a pretty nice touch as kind of a desk decor item, although I do like the yellow accent that they've gone with here as part of their kind of classic logo color. And if we continue the demo here, let's try the built-in USB Type-C cable next. We can see that super fast charging has been initiated, and indeed it's going to be rapidly topping up most phones, as well as, again, computers without too many problems. When the battery gets almost full, it will delay and slow down the charging speed to prevent any overcharging and overheating. Plugging a power bank in for charging next, we can verify that the numbers shown on the display compared to on the power bank are roughly consistent. The power bank, for instance, is showing 46 watts at the moment for input, and the charging station here is also showing 46 watts. So not bad in terms of the accuracy of the metrics. And while that's in progress, let's also try charging up a laptop next, plugging it in here. We can verify that charging will start. We can also verify that right now it's drawing around 22 watts using the second Type-C port, combined with, again, around the 45 watts on that first port, so the 61 watt there seems mostly accurate. The reason why that number wasn't super high was because the laptop's battery was also getting almost full, so it was reducing the charging speed. Versus if your device is a little bit more empty, as you can tell, the charging rate will also pop up higher, getting around 75 to 80 watts now in this example. But let's up the ante and also charge another cell phone here using the third Type-C port, still using super fast charging, and now we're getting close to 100 watts. And by the way, when charging is in progress, we can tap on the button here once to flick into that second screen to see the charging rates of each individual port, telling us how much wattage each port is drawing, as well as the volts and amps that's being drawn. And the section here that's grayed out means that that port is not currently in use, which is corresponding to the full-size Type-A port, as well as the Qi wireless charging pad. So if we pop a phone onto the charging pad, you can see that corresponding section gets lit up as well, now hovering closer to around 90 to 95 watts, compared to, again, if we're removing one of the pads, you'll see that corresponding section no longer get displayed. So I can confirm that this one little desktop charger is capable enough of juicing up, again, up to 5 devices. Again, just keeping in mind that 140 watts will be the maximum output possible. Numbers seem to be accurately enough reflected. Now, as we are approaching the limits of the charging station, however, it does get a little bit warmer on some of the edges here, but still not really hot or uncomfortable to the touch, so thermal management seems to be doing an alright job, all things considered. And again, when the devices reach 100%, it will dial down the charging speed and then stop charging to prevent any overheating, so relatively safe. But keeping in mind this is one of their most premium charging docks currently available, it would have been nice to have a few other extras like the aforementioned app support, which would have been kind of a cherry on top if you're able to check on the status if you're even in a different room, or if you wanted to stop charging on a single port, you can switch that on or off using something like an app, possibly also change the display, wallpaper, things like that, maybe in a next-gen revision. And also, this section doesn't really tilt up and down, it's only the, again, wireless charging dock section. But despite these minor quirks, overall I still like the design of this Nomos 5-in-1 charger. I think it's quite elegant, and I do like that screen to show you some of the status at a glance. Still quite compact, considering that you're able to charge phones, laptops, simultaneously without taking too much space on the desk, still looking quite attractive. So if you're interested in something like this, a pretty fancy all-in-one charger, you can learn more details in the links down below. But for now, that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. That's been the Baseus Nomos desktop charger.